Milanisti everywhere. Hey, how's it going? It's the Milanistas 360 podcast with your host Hosni. I guess John, now you're officially a host, right? Because I think that's the rule. After so many shows, you're culpable now. Uh, so your co-host John, and of course me, Shane. So we also have a very special guest, a rare, a very rare kind of person in the Milan fan base these times. He speaks with a lot of common sense and a level head, Andon. So also Andon has his own channel as well, which please feel free to promote that as well, Andon. But yeah, everyone, there's a lot to cover. Sorry, it's been a couple of weeks because I've been busy getting myself sunburned and everything in beautiful Malaga. But anyway, yeah, Hosni, where do you want to start, man?
Yeah, let's go over the Torino game. I know it's been a week, few as you said, it has been a while. So we have two games to preview. Then we have the UCL, and of course, we have a special topic to discuss. I think the first one has to do with, and this is taking a little bit of a blast from the past, has to do with the Torino game, and how, yeah, you could say if you look at the scoreline, we demolished them, but it wasn't that easy. If you talk about a good part of the first half. So I just want to speak. I just start off with John in terms of how you felt that the game went, especially considering, and you pointed this out before we started, that we were tied essentially until the 41st or 40 plus minute. So it's been, yeah, almost the first half and almost level at that point. So what were your thoughts?
Mm. So, yeah, it was a. If you look at the result, you'd think that we absolutely dominated them. There's actually a couple of controversies in this game, if you guys recollect. Do you remember the Giroud penalty that we got on the 43rd minute? So we went ahead through a fantastic Christian Pulisic goal. There was no doubt about it. It was a really good move and a great finish. Within 3 minutes, we had a set piece to defend, and Schurz scored the equalizer on the 36th minute. So it's literally 3 minutes later they went and scored against us. And in my opinion, just my opinion, I don't know what you guys think about it. That was a little bit of Ruben Loftus-Cheek losing his man. But then we got a penalty that kind of changed the game for us. And that was on Giroud. And it was a strange one because the ball was crossed into him and he seemed to kind of duck out the way. And I don't know any defender that doesn't sit behind his player, kind of pushing his body away. And by ducking out of the way, the ball slid off him and hit the defender's hands. Now, at the time, I was like, who cares? Let's take the penalty or whatever. And we then went on. I think Theo scored a beautiful goal with Leao, a beautiful combination, a beautiful little chip. So we ended up with 4-1, two penalties by Giroud. I think the second one, he definitely Leao got stamped on. But I kind of want to know you guys what you thought about that first penalty because it was kind of important for me. Again, happy to win the game. Remember, I predicted 3-1. Shane, you predicted 4-0. So
Mm-hmm.
fair enough. Fair enough. I'd say at halftime I was winning. But I'd say yeah, I want to know a little bit more about what you think of that penalty because I don't know how you can constantly give that as a penalty because you can imagine if that was always given as a penalty, players would start ducking out of the way so that the ball will be hitting defenders. So far away, guys.
Okay, Andon, I mean, just to pose that to you because everyone, quite a number of people spoke about the penalty, and it's a common theme in our league that some decisions are so questionable that you're going to split the fan base down the middle, essentially. So just to highlight the penalty that we're speaking about, yes, Giroud, back to the goal, cross came in, and it seemed that the hands were, as if I were to quote the rules a little bit, in an unnatural position, sticking out, and it just came off the fingers essentially, and I think like a goalkeeper would have done it. Uh, Unfortunate, in my opinion, yes, but I mean, if the referee gave it, uh, you could say it can go both sides. But I don't know how do you feel about that instance and whether it was fair for it to have been given to us.
I mean, in recent times, they changed the rules for penalties so much where now you cannot be sure what is a penalty or not. By the new rules, it's a penalty, that's why it was given. And also, in order to be given a penalty, you have to find yourself in a situation to be given a penalty. I
Correct, yeah.
think Giroud did the smart thing, and one of the things that led it to be a penalty because the hand was not in a natural position close to the body. It was a normal position for a defender to push a player, but not close to the body, and affected the game. That's why it was given a penalty. Plus another thing, even if you get the penalty, you have to convert them because we had problems in the past that we were missing so many penalties, and that meant nothing. It's a good thing that we started on a good note with those penalties, and that we are getting we got like 3 penalties in the first 3 rounds. That's a good sign for the team because it means the team is playing good. It found themselves in an attacking position, in a position that will allow us to give the penalty. I know it was some controversy about the second penalty as well, but still, by the new rules, which are a little bit softer, even we saw last game about set pieces, fouls, tackling, stuff like that. It's a little bit more strict, even a smaller in demeanor gives you a yellow card, red card. So I think that's basically what they're doing with modern football. They're trying to, I don't know what exactly they're trying to do, but we're gonna have a lot of those situations in the future in regarding penalties, not just for us but for many other teams. If the situation was reversed, it was gonna be a penalty against us. So in the end, I'm happy we got it, we converted it, and it unlocked the game.
Yeah, I agree with that, Andon. But I just want to go to one thing that you did mention, which I agree 200%, is that we seem to be a lot more threatening in the box. One of my observations from last season is that I think we were so hesitant, and if a play like that happened last season, I think Giroud might have been the only person, maybe at the edge or not even in the box when it happened, and it would just have been a free kick that probably ended up like nowhere. But is there one thing that you can say about our attack and the Torino game, and late in a bit when we speak about Roma? How much more threatening are we, and what do you think is the big differences?
I mean, the big difference is, first of all, is the formation change. I was begging Pioli to do this even since last year. Basically the 4-2-3-1 was a formation that worked for a while, but after that, because we didn't actually find a proper cam that would fit our style of play. We had Diaz, we had CDK, which are not the style of players that suit that kind of a game. Now we change back to a 4-3-3 position, which allows not one but 2 midfielders to attack, because as you can see, they're interchanging every other attack. First, Rangers go further up, makes combination with Theo and Leao. We are dangerous on that side. Next attack, you can see Ruben Loftus going more up front, makes combination with Calabria and Pulisic. And now the biggest change that we have as a team and our style of play, we are not anymore dependent on one player, and that's a good thing. Because last season, all the tactic was pass the ball to Leao, and that's it. And teams learned us; they doubled Leao in a lot of games. He was ineffective. But now, because we are also dangerous on the right as well as on the left, they cannot just focus on one side, and that leaves a lot of space open. And the one amazing thing is how fast this midfield gelled up that good. I was expecting at least for a month or two to struggle to get that midfield going, but they're looking like they played all their lives together. So I think that's the biggest difference that we have, and that's why we are so much more attacking and so much more fluid, which leaves us, I don't know about you guys, but in the first 3 rounds, I'm talking about all 3 games, I was never for a second worried about the end result. I was 100% sure that by the 90th minute we're gonna win the game, and I haven't had that feeling maybe for years.
Yep. Yeah. Good comments there. Shane. Yeah. I mean, just about the midfield and what Anton mentioned, because midfield is the part of the team that we've changed quite a bit. I mean, if you talk about last season, the staples were Benacer, Tonali, and yeah, Krunic, because he's always been there. So that's not really of a change, except that maybe the Ballon d'Or standard that he injects into the team. But what Ruben Loftus-Cheek did, and I think there's a big contrast to Bologna, because I think he was quite invisible in that game. But that was a different player in the game against Torino. So what do you think about his profile? Because when he ran forward, I don't think even Kessie does that. So what do you make of this play that we have in our midfield overall?
So a couple of podcasts ago, a couple of pods ago, I had picked out Reinders as the player I was most excited about, right? And but I guess the player that's surprised me the most from the transfers this season so far, it has to be Loftus-Cheek, because I mean he's just a completely different player than he was for Chelsea. I never expected this whatever this is. It's amazing. And just to echo what Andon said though, I think this is like we're far more, I think, kind of proactive now in terms of the way that we play. Last season, I think possibly due to a bit of fatigue from the World Cup, but it could be multiple reasons. But we kind of seemed to just get worse and worse and worse as the season went on, worse and worse. This season, though, I think it's like, I mean, it's like a completely different team. We're so aggressive. I mean, in this Torino game, right, we had 17 shots, or we had 17 attempts, right? The whole fact that we're getting penalties is not by pure luck, right? Now, guaranteed, some non-Milan fans will look at this and go, well, they're just they're just living on penalties, right? But it's like Andon said as well. The whole reason that we're getting penalties is because we're nearly parked in the box for huge segments of the game. So that means, of course, there's going to be more potential of a penalty. But Loftus-Cheek is, I mean, he's something else. I never expected this in the player. And again, holding my hands up as well to Forlani. I never expected the transfers to work out this fast and this quickly. Now that being said, though, Roma was a good test. But I have a couple of reservations about that team. They've surprised me with how bad they've been this year. But I think it's, that weird Mourinho effect where it's like probably good for 2 years, but on the third year, he just loses the team and then the club implodes. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in Roma. So I think it was good to pass that test and pass it convincingly like we did. So, but I know we'll talk about that game in a bit. But I'm really looking forward to this Inter game now. If we show the qualities and the characteristics that we've been playing showing so far, there's no way we're going to be a walkover for this Inter team or for any team in Italy. To be honest, I'm really excited. Like this, this is the makings of a really good fleshed out side. Kudos to Forlani. He's done really well.
Okay, I mean, since you've mentioned it, you can go straight into the Roma game that happened. What is it now? About 2 days ago. So it's quite recent, and another convincing win. But one of the things that I want to say about the Roma, and I want to point out, is that when these teams, when they start to get players, and when we see players who we were linked with, for example, like Renato Sanchez, like to a certain extent Paulo Dybala, and push comes to shove, the season has started. These players are either injured or they are, you could say, the performance is questionable. And I think, wait a second, Houssem Aouar is in Roma as well, isn't he?
Yeah, we were linked with him as
and
well.
we were linked with it.
Yeah.
So you can see these players that we were linked with, and and of course, if they were to come, we would welcome them and have a bit of hype about them. But in other teams, they don't seem to be those game changers. I mean, in contrast to what Rangers has been doing for us, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Pulisic, but of course, the teams that we got those players from are of certain standard, if you could say. Even though Chelsea, I mean, look at the scores now; they're quite washed out. But the players that we got from them, I am genuinely very surprised. I mean, John, just rushing into the Roma game. Could you have expected that performance? Because if you see it from my perspective, that I had thought that this will be a bounce back performance from Roma. I mean, they can't be playing that bad all the time. I mean, how surprised were you the fact that what essentially was? I think it was a comfortable game until the red card, which of course you can give your thoughts about.
Yeah. So, like you, I thought that the Roma game was the one. I think we said this in the last pod. We said if we're a serious team aiming for top four, a team like Torino, and we looked at their squad, and our assessment was that their squad had been weakened massively, we should have beaten them, and we did the job there. Coming on to Roma, you look at their squad and you think, I know football is never played on paper, it's just never played on paper. But if you look at the team sheet, they have a potent squad. However, And they had just signed Lukaku as well. None of us expected Lukaku to start, however. But I can tell you that I cannot be the only Milan fan that could see exactly what Mourinho's game plan was. Keep it tight to within one goal until the last 20 minutes or so, and then firing.
Just a quick question on Tomori. Has he been called up to the England squad?
Yeah, he has. Yeah,
He has. It's about time, but yeah, it's a strange one because it seems to be relatively consistent, like severe errors in judgment. You know what I mean?
Hard done by. But against Roma, I think at one point I looked at the stats. We had over 80% ball possession. They literally couldn't get out of their own half. We were crushing them. And then of course that soft red card, the second yellow that Tomori, and Mourinho responded accordingly, and they scored a goal and made it uncomfortable. To me, out of all the games we've played, actually, I will say the Roma game was the most comfortable one for me. Up until that point, we had such impressive control of the game. It was beautiful to watch. Really, really impressive. I felt actually, if I was to judge all three teams that played against us, I'd say Bologna played the best. They attacked us the best, and they actually gave Juve a lot of trouble. In my opinion, they should have beaten Juventus actually. But again, I just want to know what you guys think about it. I'm very, very happy. As you said, Shane, the attacks are coming from everywhere now. They are coming from the right, from the left, from the middle. And I do not know in Serie A team that will be able to cope with that. So yeah, open it up to you guys to give your feedback on the Roma game.
Yeah, sure. By the way, John, the slight apologies. My internet just cut in and out and lost a bit of that. I mean, we heard you, but just lost a bit of that in the stream. So yeah, a slight apologies for that. But you're back now on the stream. But there's a question here that we
McDonald's
have.
internet, come on, Husni.
My bad, my bad. It's McDonald's Wi-Fi. We're using it all the way across the world. But I'll pose this question actually to Andon, yeah, because you have a good perspective on this. We have a user here who asked a question. Jovan, okay, will the quality for, or what does he mean? Will we qualify?
Will we
for
qualify for
the
the
Champions League
Champions
second
League
round?
second round? Yeah.
What's your view on that, Andon?
I mean, first of all, I know a lot of Milan fans were a little bit scared when we saw the group of that stuff like that. But to be honest, I really love that group because it gives the team an opportunity to play with high quality teams, different styles of play, and it will be able, even if we go out of the group or we don't go out, go further, it will help the team grow as a team. And even said that, I think we have a very good chances of passing through the group. First of all, PSG is never a stable team that you can say, for example, like City or Bayern Munich and Real, that you can say, oh, they're gonna dominate, they're gonna score goals. PSG plays hot and cold, especially now when they change almost their similar to us, like half of the squad. So they're not as much as fearful as people made them do. Another thing, Newcastle also is a new team. I mean, they are playing good. They are high quality team as well. They play in the EPL. They play high quality football, but also they have weaknesses as well. And the one team that I'm not 100% sure because I haven't managed to watch them this season is Borussia. I don't know how they started the season, how they play, but even them, I think we can play with literally anybody because now we have the squad that even if an injury happens, we have some players that can step up and cover for the injuries. But now, what will be important in order to pass through that group stage, we will have to wait and see because we're gonna play like 7 games in 21 days. How Pioli manages the rotation, it's very important. It's not the thing to. I hope he does not do this. Change the entire 11, play with 1-11 one game, the other 11 the second game because that will be a big mistake. If he manages somehow to balance out the rotations, like let's say 5, 6 players one game, the other game change the other five, and give the other players to get up to speed. Because people forget, even now, because we dominated the first 3 games and we won, we still have weapons on the bench that haven't even been up to speed. They're not 100%. We have players on the bench now that actually are not Rebic, are not Messias, are not Salamakers, are not Origi, are not CDK, but we have Chukwueze, we have Okafor. Uh, I think also Musa can do damage in the attack because he's more attacking kind of a player. And people sleep a lot on Jovic. Jovic was not that bad last season in Fiorentina. He scored like 13 goals and had 6 assists. And this is the last time in his career that can make some change or put his career back on track. Because if he doesn't use this opportunity, it's over for him. So now we have the weapons from the bench. Even if the result doesn't go our way, Pioli can actually do something. And also our style of play, the way we play. This was something that Pioli tried to do. If you remember, guys, there was a period where nobody knew their position where they play. It was a total mess, total chaos. But now he's playing the same way. But the difference is now the players know how to do the switches because we see all the time. Leo goes right, Pulisic goes left. We also, what's very important in these formations are the wingbacks that we play, Theo and Calabria, because they don't play as fullbacks. They play as an extra midfielder. And interchanging of position, covering for each other, they're doing almost up to perfection. So it's just a matter of time before the team even gels even better because they just started and gets a better understanding, and that will all help us in passing that group stage. And if we pass this group stage, anything can happen this season in the Champions League. We even may get the chance again to reach the semifinal at least, maybe even win the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I like the confidence there. Yeah, about some of the new players that Andon mentioned. Shane, we saw some new players again being substituted on. I had hoped that before tomorrow you got the red card, so we could see them in a way on fire. But yeah, we saw Chukwueze, we saw Okafor. He came on and helped to close out the game with his trickery and tried to attract those fouls. But when those players came on, and you could say it's a different style game because we got down to 10 men, and essentially we're just trying to take up as much time as we can. Not in a way that we just want to get to the 90 plus minute and collect those 3 points. But is there something that you saw from those players, and anything else about the Roma game that you want to highlight? Because there was a point that could never come in back into it until the red card. So how else do you feel about the Roma game?
Yeah, just to echo what I said earlier. Like, I mean, the rate at which our midfield has gelled together is just so impressive to me. Shout out to Pioli and his tactics as well, because the way that it's like, and again, Andon said this and he was on point. So Theo and Calabria acting as wing backs going forward, Krunic dropping then to like form a type of back three. I mean, like it's great to see it. You know what I mean? It really is. But kind of with the Roma game, it was just unfortunate with the red card. And again, it's nothing new, unfortunately, for Tomori. I think um, what scares me a bit about Tomori is that it's not the first time that this has happened, you know, and we're happy now because we got the 3 points. But like, you know, let's just say if this is far along into the season and this is against Inter and the same thing happens, it's concerning, you know. But overall, the game was good, played at a good pace. And as well, and also echoing what Andan said, I never really kind of had a fear that, you know, we were going to lose this game, even down to 10 men. But it was a shame, you know, kind of, what was it, Okafor and you know, all the substitutions. Like, it was good to see them on the pitch. And even though I appreciate Okafor isn't like a kind of a number 9 type player, I think bringing him on in like the 70th minute against tired legs, you know, is going to do us a lot of favors. You know, even if it's not getting a goal himself, which I hope comes in time, you know, him maybe laying off to Leao or to Pulisic or to Chukwueze, whoever. Him laying off to those players is going to, you know, that's going to get us a couple of goals this year, I hope. Um, Overall, though, yeah, still positive, but again, just concerned about this kind of silliness from Tomori. It's something that I would hope, you know, that he would have worked on, because again, it seems to be like a lack of footballing intelligence at some point, and it's concerning. But overall, yeah, positive.
Yep, I agree with what you guys said, but of course, you guys know, I tend to, provide a little bit of negativity. From what I can tell, the past 3 games that we've played, and our aptly titled pod 392, so that's 3 games played, 9 points, and 2 goals conceded. But if that game or that mistake happened in the UCL against one of those teams, the score might not have been the same. This is the issue that I have with. I know, and I'm happy. I'm happy we won. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that we won. I'm happy that we are in the position that we are. I'm happy with just only 2 goals conceded. But we always have to keep doing better. So if that, and everyone knows what happened when we faced Atletico Madrid, we were dominating that game. They had nothing, but Cassie got sent off, and see how then the game changes. And I think Pioli has somewhat matured since that game, and I think he probably knows what else to do. And of course, he has better players. But if we were to dominate PSG, for example, and Tomori goes off, can you imagine the level of attack they can actually bring onto the pitch, and how that might punish us? Because we're not against a washed out Lukaku anymore. Yeah, we're against players like Mbappe. I mean, whoever else that they've got. These guys are proven goal scorers. They can do it inside the box from a header or even from your absolutely class dribbling. They can do it from outside the box. This is why I'm worried. So I agree with you, Shane, that Tomori he has those mistakes. I don't know why he's still repeating it, and it's this early in the season. I mean, that was avoidable. But you could say in that red card, I would say Pioli has a little bit of a share because, again, waiting for that 70th, 80th minute to make those changes, deadly. Yeah, he can do it in the league, and this is why he got away with it. But Champions League is a completely different ball game. And now that we're speaking about the Champions League game, I mean, John, I mean, just to put it directly, what is your level of confidence in us moving to the first knockout? And honestly speaking, because we've seen the way that we played in 3 games, I think we did overall. We got reinforcements. Everyone seems to have a good gel on how we play. Is there really any team that we should fear? I mean, I know the objective is to get out of the group, but why not topping the group? I mean, it's fair to ask, like, is this a group that we can top and really show that yes, AC Milan is back even amongst the high spending teams?
I mean, so 2 things. The teams we've been picked against are very solid teams. I'll say that. I don't think they're stellar teams, but they are very tough teams. They're not teams that our manager or anybody can take easily. You're gonna have to concentrate for each and every one of those games. It's not like one of those where you've got a team that you kind of think, we'll just turn up and play, and then don't play very hard. You end up taking a draw and putting yourself in trouble. With all of these teams, with Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle, and PSG, we know they're capable of scoring goals for fun. So we're going to have to concentrate and take them on. On the other side, I think our squad is more prepared than it's been in several years to be able to take on a Champions League campaign. The biggest thing is similar to what Andon said, is we have to look at the schedule and we have to rotate players accordingly to make sure that players are ready and fit. Because, I mean, so I've got in front of me, hang on, I'm bringing up the fixtures, right? So we've got September 16th, Saturday, Inter. Tuesday, September 19th, we've got Newcastle. And then we've got, on Sunday, the 24th, we've got Verona. Okay, so realistically speaking, we can beat Newcastle at home. I won't deny it. I watched their games this season. We can beat that team. And we're very attacking. We're likely to... they probably haven't seen anything like us, actually. But there is a run of games, and I'm pretty sure the Milan fan base is aware of it, that comes in October. And it's a little bit... It's Sunday 22nd. We've got home to Juventus. Wednesday 25th, away to PSG. Sunday 29th, away to Napoli. That, preparing the team for that, Pioli has a very important job of, rotating players. And we do have the players to rotate. So there's no excuse here. And I think, again, a lot of fans agree these days. It's on you, Pioli. You've got the players. You've got Romero, you've got Chucky, you've got Okafor, that clearly can be used as a potential left wing to rest Leao if you want to. And yeah, we got Jovic, and we'll see what he's like. I am not familiar with him, so I'll just see what he's like. But he has the players to rotate now, and he has to do it, because if he keeps pulling out the same formation, we cannot take any of these matches lightly. I mean, ultimately, guys, what I want to beat Napoli away, I want to beat PSG away, and I want to destroy Juventus at home. And I think we're capable of doing so, but it's going to be a rotation job here, and it's not going to be easy to do. But we'll have to see. Unfortunately, the red card, I felt, robbed us of a chance to really get to see the best of potential subs. Unfortunately, when you're 10v11 and Mourinho's come on and brought in Spinazzola and brought in Lukaku, you know exactly what's coming. And it ended up Spinazzola scored the goal of a deviation. But we'll see with games coming up, guys. But, we've got, after the international break, we've got Inter. They are the nominated home team. And then we've got Newcastle. So let's just focus on that right now. It'll be great to take wins away from both of those games.
Just a quick question there. So I think this is probably good for Andon. So this Jovic signing that kind of got everyone by surprise. I mean, he's had a bit of a questionable career so far. He's had great highs, but he hasn't seemed to do anything, for the last couple of years. So do you think he's going to give us more than, we'll say, Origi did?
I mean, listen, Jovic has the same problem that many players from the Balkan have. It's their attitude towards the game and attitude towards how they should behave and play. We saw that with Rebic as well. The quality of the player is never in question. It's a quality player. He has proven it in the past. He has the talent. He has everything. But now everything depends on him. What he wants to do in his life. If he wants to change it, because he gets after failing at Real Madrid, after, let's say, failing. It's a fail because Fiorentina get rid of him so easily. After failing them, this is the last time he's going to get a chance to play at a big club. So if he's smart, if he puts the head into the ground and just trains, listens what he said to him, give 100% on the pitch, and use his opportunities, which is very, very important because he's gonna get them. It's the long season, especially after the international break with 7 games in 21 days. He's gonna get at least 2, 3 games to play, even full games, because it will be dumb just to expose Giroud at 38 to give him more minutes and expose injuries. So everything will solely depend on Jovic, because last season he wasn't that bad. As I said, he scored 13 goals and had 6 assists with Fiorentina in 50 games. That's almost 20 goal contribution, which for a player that is not a starter, doesn't play 90 minutes, it's a solid contribution. And he's used to Serie A for 1 season at least he played. So I'm hoping he can give a bigger contribution. What to get what we expected from Origi, at least to give 10 goals. I'm not asking too much. At least gives us 10 goals. We don't need more than that, because now this season the goals is going to come from everywhere. We have wingers that can score, we have strikers that can score, we have even midfielders that can score. So he doesn't have to contribute that much. 10 goals is not such a difficult task to do, especially when you have the players around you that can feed you balls, that you can play, especially those beautiful 1-2 passes that we do right now that we have never done in the past, like for many years, because there were not players to do them. The only times they do 1-2 passes are between Theo and Leao, not between anybody else. So I hope he can use this opportunity, because we're gonna need him. We're gonna need him. For example, I'm gonna take example the next 3 games when we play Inter, Newcastle, and Verona. What I would personally do, and what I would like to do, purely what to do, play with the same 11 Inter, try to play with the same 11 in Newcastle, and do the rotation against Verona. And at the game of Verona, put Jovic as a starter. Before that, just give him like 15, 20 minutes in the other 2 games to give and test him. See how it goes, because Verona is the game, even though this season at Serie A there's no easy games, because everybody can beat anybody. A little bit the quality of the team or the way they play, even the smaller teams, has increased. So that is the perfect game. So Pioli, it will be the first, let's say, big test for Pioli. And if he shows signs, even if he doesn't score, just shows signs that he can be useful, it will be good. But again, as I say, it's up to him. It's 50-50 with him. He was a last-minute solution because we were going a little bit late. That was one of the mistakes that we did in the transfer. Because if we had the money before that to get a striker, we should have reacted a little bit earlier. But also, I think that also dependent on the way if Origi is gonna go, because he went at the last minute, so didn't know what to do. But I hope something good will come out of Jovic.
Okay, Andon, on that topic, because for me, is that the way that I see it is that some of our subs are a little bit more advanced in terms of the rotation packing order. So we see a lot more of Okafor. So that's why I expect Okafor actually to be the number 9. In terms of a left wing solution, I guess if we had to rotate, and I think it's possible that if we didn't want to use Liao, that we could even put Pulisic on the left, or even keep Liao and put Chukwueze on the right wing. So those are different options. But for Jovic, and we've seen this before, there's actually quite a bit of integration time required. But are you saying that you think the next few games that Jovic could be, bang ready to start? I mean, is he already of that level? Do you think?
I mean, maybe not to play a 90-minute game, but I would hope he will get, for example, in Inter Newcastle, he will get like 15, 20 minutes so he can play, let's say, 60 against Verona. I think that gradual, it can be, that is how rotations are done. And like this, you're not putting too much weight on Giroud because he's 38. You don't overplay him. You don't put too much pressure on him or drain him of energy. You have the proper tools how to do the rotation properly. For example, for other positions, you can give them a little bit more stress because the players are younger and more physically fit. You can take a little bit of risk with them. But on some of the crucial positions, like the striker, like because Giroud is 38, he's not 20, he cannot run 90 minutes, 3 games straight. So I think if Pioli manages to integrate him like that, it will be a success. As I said, for now, the only doubt that I have about Pioli, how he will manage the rotations. And in those 3 games after the international break, we're gonna see how will things will play out till the end of the season. Either Pioli learned his lesson from last season, does the rotation properly, or he will have the same problem that will cost us a lot of points this season.
Okay. I'm not ashamed, actually, a similar question, but this has to do with other players because if you ask me personally, I don't really know if there's a solution. So we have Theo, we have Krunic, and I think Tiao, Calabria. They've all played, and I don't think they've been subbed out as well. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've been subbed out as well. What are the solutions when it comes to rotations? Because we have congestion, and Pioli did say that, yeah, everyone will get their chance. But what are you expecting? Who do you think is ready to be their sub in a rotation level play? Starting with Theo, I mean, whichever one that you want to cover. Who should be their subs?
I mean,
Yes, it's Bartoszagi, isn't it? He's going to be the backup for Theo this season.
he
Yeah,
should, but what I think Pioli will do will start Florenzi there. I think he
Yeah,
will
that's
go
what I
with
think.
he's like he trusts Florenzi a little bit more, and he doesn't want to take the risk for now with Barzagani to go on the left and to deprive him from the Primavera. So what I would say the rotations probably will be for those two positions that you said. Florenzi to go to play as a left back. I hope Pioli stays on his word and tries Adley at the Krunic position, but
Hashtag free Adley.
yeah, but the problem with Adley, I'm not just convinced by him defensively. Offensively, he can hold up the ball, he can pass the ball, he can create. I just want to see how he handles defensively that position. And again, you can do rotations. You can even, I know it's too early, but in the future you can try Musa at that position. He can run a lot, cover a lot of spaces. He's strong. So there are a lot of options that rotation can be done. But that depends also how we manage with injuries, because we have those injury problems every season. If we manage to stay healthy, and if there are not some significant injuries like long-term injury like Benacer, I think we can hold out till November, December while Benacer comes back. And just imagine if Benacer is healthy, and if you add him to this midfield, what will happen?
Because I think there's an important thing to note here as well, right? I think you see us having to rely on a left back that isn't Theo this season. It's not a big deal compared to what it would have been last season. Because last season we had such a lack of attacking options for the most part, and Theo had to kind of,
Oh, and one more thing, because last season in some of the games, Pioli played Pobega as the left back, if you remember, in some of the games. But now, because the left back is not a left back per se, left back to play strictly left back, he goes more into the midfield position. I think in some games, Pioli will try to do the same with Pobega, playing a left back, but the position will not be strictly left back. And now it will be a lot more effective than it was last season.
That's true. That's true. I think I suppose the centre back option though is a small bit concerning. So I mean, look, who are guaranteed starters now? So we have Tomori and we have Chow, right? So then backing them up is going to be Kalulu, Kier. Who's that kid that we got from Argentina?
Caldara.
Yeah, Caldara is in the team as well, and
Caldara is
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini,
Is it?
Marco
Pellegrino.
Pellegrino, right? So he's, obviously jury's out on him, but obviously the jury was out on
And
Chow
Krunic.
as well. Krunic can play anywhere. I've fully convinced of that. But then the right back is the right back area is a problem. I'm not being too harsh on management for not fixing it in this window, because they've really done a huge amount of good on the overall squad. But I think when you look at what we should be aspiring to do, which is, Champions League, win the league, when you look at those kind of levels, and I look at Calabria as our right back, it's kind of one of those areas that I think we could improve upon. So maybe it's going to be something that will be looked at, next summer. But for now, we have him, we have Florenzi, as a kind of backup, depending on how it goes. And then, dare I say it, we also have Kalulu who can slot in there as well. But this is going to be a problem with the Inter game now, because now I think about it. So Tomori is going to be suspended.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we're going to be going in with who? Chow, Kier?
I think Chow and Kalulu will start.
Chow and Kalulu, right? Because if it was
But-
Kier, he
But
got
to be- listen,
destroyed
Sean.
by Martinez last season.
To be honest, Tomori didn't have any luck in the previous games against Inter. He was terrible when he played. Martinez had fun with him. So maybe this will be a little bit of blessing to not have him in, because previously you guys spoke a little bit about Tomori and his problems that he has. One thing about Tomori is a type of a center back that relies on his speed, and he's not good at aerial duels at all, and he has problems with concentration. This was a problem he had from when he came. It's not a fixable problem, but the difference is then we had Casey, who did a lot of the dirty work and covered for those misdemeanors that he didn't have. And until we get a proper CDM, a proper defending CDM, that will happen, and Tomori will not change. And I think I may be wrong, but I think they're preparing slowly but surely next summer to profit on Tomori. I can see that happening because he's a player that you can get 60-70 million, and he's not irreplaceable, to say. But for that to happen, I want to see how Marco Pellegrino will slot in on that position, because he's a left-footed center back, and we need a left-footed center back.
Okay, yeah, those are good observations. Yeah, we other than the run, we have a special topic, and I think this is something that's quite dear to everyone, especially on this pod, because we're all dads. Sorry, I don't know if you're a dad or not, but it actually has to do with what has happened in that celebration for the Women's World Cup and the kissing incident. For those who aren't aware, there was could say unwanted contact between the president of Spanish FA and the players. So it's led to quite a bit of uproar in terms of what is the appropriate amount of celebration that is acceptable. So I just want to get your views, John, in terms of what do you feel about this whole incident, and where are we at? Because I think it's still not somewhat settled, and both parties are still remaining firm in their positions. One doesn't want to leave, and the other one won't do anything until he leaves.
Yeah, so this is first of all, I want to say congratulations to Spain for being world champions. They really deserve that. Wonderful World Cup.
It's no coincidence that it happened just after I arrived in Malaga. I meant to win. I didn't mean anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about, Shane? Honestly, first World Cup that I've paid a Women's World Cup that I've paid close attention to. Part of it was because I have, guys, I have a few bets going, and I had a bet running on England to be world champions. And so they were playing for me, in essence, although I was not supporting them. It's kind of like win-win situation. But first of all, Spain deserved that win. That's the first thing I want to say. They absolutely deserved that win. And they, in moments during that game, I came to realize that women's football technically has taken a leap over the last few years, and I'm so impressed. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I'm really serious. Some of those triangles, some of those passing that the Spanish team were playing reminded me so much of the Barcelona teams. This tiki-taka football. It's really impressive that it's basically that style of football has filtered into every type of football that they play. It's incredible. Now, I watched the whole thing. I was very happy for Spain to win. And I started to watch the ceremony. And on the stage, just to give you an idea, for those of you, did you all watch it? Just first question. Did you all watch it? Shane says yes. Hasni, did you watch it?
In all honesty, no. I didn't
No,
watch it.
no. Okay, Andon, did you watch the final? Can't hear you. Or is mute. You're muted, Andon.
Oh, so sorry. About that incident, listen, because I didn't follow the Women's World Cup, but I saw what exactly happened over the internet. I saw some clips.
Yeah.
First of all, just not to get confused, I don't condemn that type of a behavior. Sometimes you have to know when and how to react. But the other problem is in modern time, everything offends everybody. So every single thing that happens, even if it's not that bad, it offends, and you come to a situation like this. But the problem is, it's that time. So he needs to know how to behave right now, so those problems not to happen. And I think it's a little bit, if you already got the decision that you're gonna be sacked and you cannot do nothing about it, just don't make the process too difficult, because you're not gonna change the decision. The decision is gonna stay. And that I know his mother was protesting with hunger, stuff like that. That won't change anything. They first of all, it's not good for them, for the image of the Spanish FA, to put him as head of the Spanish FA. That will never ever happen again. So it's much better for him just to accept the punishment and move on from that. And also the Spanish FA needs to do that as well. Take care of the problem and just move on. It's not that of a terrible incident. It's an incident, but it's not that terrible incident that made huge damage.
Yeah. So I think it's so the Queen of Spain was on the stage, her 16-year-old daughter was on the stage, and then Rubiales was on the stage. And as each player came through, the way to behave and the way that should have been done is just watch how the Queen of Spain behaves. It's the typical. So having obviously grown up in Italy, and you, Shane, now living in Spain, there is that warmth, that extra warmth, which is the air cheek to each side. It's completely normal. In Italy, we routinely do it with both men and women. It's not a problem at all. But what he was doing, and it was something that, as you said, Hasni, as a father, I kind of think, I have two young girls, and I would hate to think that they would be put in a situation where they simply cannot move away because of the situation that they're in. They got all the cameras on them. This man who's the head of the Spanish FA is there. First of all, when Spain won, he did a gesture, which I don't know if you guys know, but he grabbed his crotch and pulled it, and he was right next to the Queen of Spain when he did this. Then when the players walked up to him, what he was doing was basically grabbing their faces and sinking his face into their cheeks. Now that already, I was like, it's a little bit too much. And I can only say, if you come from that kind of culture, you'll know what the correct level is instinctively. And this guy was just getting carried away, with his behavior. But then when Jenny Hermoso came along, I noticed, the 16-year-old daughter of the Princess of Spain turned around and was just like, what's going on here? He just took it too far. He simply took it too far. And on to agree with you, the thing to have done there, he could have diffused the situation by immediately saying, "Oh my God, I've got carried away. I apologize for my behavior. It's 46-year-old man doing this is really out of order and it made everybody uncomfortable." Now, what he should have done right there is owned up to it and owned it, right? And said, "Oh God, this is my mistake. I've caused it." Instead, he called a fake press conference. I don't know if you saw it. He stood on stage and had an audience of people that basically handpicked, and he made a statement, says, "I'm not quitting, I'm not quitting, I'm not quitting." And people in the audience clapped for him. And at that point, when those people in the audience, the camera turned and panned to them, there was the manager of the Spanish team, was one of the people. And of course, the next day he saw that he was on that video, he comes out with a comment to say, "Oh no, I disagree with it. I'm sorry, it's one way or the other. You either agree or disagree with it. It's really
See,
obvious." Yes,
the,
Shane, go.
so this is the concerning thing. So I think at a certain point, right? Like, I'm not virtue signaling here or anything like that, but like at a certain point, if you have the job role that he has, you get paid more than enough to understand boundaries and to understand how to act with professionalism, right? And he was doing none of those things. And it's like you said as well. It's just more along. Look, everyone screws up, right? At some point, right? Okay, everyone does. But like when you kind of then look at it and kind of go, right, he's kind of digging his heels into the sand now, and it's kind of, it's, it's like you're just making the situation worse,
He's
right?
still doing it.
Still doing it. Probably will get away with it. Let's be honest, because if he hasn't left by now, I don't know. He must have some serious dirt on someone, like that they don't want to fire him. But yeah, it's bad. And what it does as well is it just makes the whole concept of the celebration that it was. It was like you said, it was great football, great final. It was genuinely great to watch, right? And then it's gone from that now to just being overshadowed by someone acting like a 16-year-old.
Yeah, and I think the best thing to do is just clear the
Yeah.
air. I
Just
didn't know, guys. I didn't know before the World Cup that there was any controversy around the Spanish manager either. But it turns out that I found out afterwards that 15 players had decided not to turn up for the Spanish team, not to be able to be selected for the Spanish team. Despite that, they won the World Cup, for God's sake. So think about the depth of talent that they have in that nation. Subsequent to it, now there are no female players that want to play for Spain. They've all said, unless he's fired, we are not going to play. Just think about what they've done there. And the Spanish FA, the reason, he is the head of the Spanish FA, but the government and all the other bodies that kind of can do something about him, the reason they haven't got rid of him, so an investigation has now been opened. And just to update you, there is something called a very severe level, which is the top tier, and then there is severe level. And they have not gone to the top level. And that's now causing more inflammation in Spain because they're saying, we all know this guy needs to get fired. Just get rid of him. Do everything you can.
It's a funny thing because at what point, how much of an investigation do you need?
It's all there, isn't it?
It's all even taking out what happened that was broadcast all around the world, which was again highly embarrassing to the person that it happened to, right? But it's like it's on camera. Why do you need to? You just literally it'll take you 10 seconds.
Yeah. So I watched a really good. I listened to a really good report on the Guardian Football podcast. If anyone's got access to it, listen to that. If you're interested in this topic, because it is some people would say this is about cancel culture. This brings so many things to a head, but I think this is more about bringing to a head an issue that's going on in Spain, and we have to really, and some would say in women's football, but I don't know that, right? This guy is clearly an individual who shouldn't be in the position where he is. It's as simple as that. Remove him from that position, replace him with someone who's got a far... Now, the way I was thinking about this, Shane, and guys, imagine if Prince William was up there for the English team and they'd won. Would he, have behaved in a way that he has been trained to behave his whole life, like the Queen of Spain did? Or would he have gone and grabbed... Prince Harry. Yeah, Prince Harry might. Why did you have to say that,
joke.
Dude?
Please, anyone.
But anyway, so they have opened an investigation. You're right. His mum went on hunger strike and she was taken to hospital. But then his uncle came out to the press and said, actually, he is a disgusting individual. He is a chauvinist. And yeah, you see, you didn't know, Shane. See, so his uncle has come out and said, we're the Rubiales family. We don't stand for things like that. So in his own family, people are aware of his behavior. Just remove him and replace him and get on with it and rebuild Spanish football, because these women have done something incredible and they could build a team that could win World Cup after World Cup with our style of football and really bring that level of interest in women's football much higher. We shouldn't be focusing on things like this, but I felt it was really important to mention this, guys, because it's a topic that's close to my heart, simply because I'm really for the fact that I want women to have an equal chance to men. I really do think that that's important. I've had too many experiences in my life where I don't see that happening. Whether it's in science and people don't progress when you get to the higher levels, higher echelons, the more senior levels, they always drop off. And I just think it's important to highlight these things. So that's it. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything about it.
Yeah, I just want to add my thoughts, and yeah, I fully agree with what you guys are saying, and I just want to point out that when we support a club like what we do, yeah, we support the colors AC Milan. We have a women's team as well. So as much as we want our men's team, and that's for my case, I wake up at slightly before 3 a.m. to watch those games. So yeah, it'll be the death of me very soon. We also cheer on our female team, and anything that affects the women in the same way that affects the guys, I think we should pay equal attention. I'm upset that it's happened in the Women's World Cup because it's still growing in comparison to what the men have done. And what's more upsetting to me is that this is then setting the precedent because it's just not resolved. If this is not resolved at this stage, and with the amount of resources that we have available that we should have available to tackle issues and really get on top on things and try to reach a solution that essentially sets things right, it's just not being deployed. And I just don't want it to be to affect that. Yeah, there's a women's sport that's growing, and we should at one point, hopefully in the future, be watching it as much as we do the men's, because yeah, let's face it, we have better halves and everything, so there shouldn't be any difference in treatment. I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't want to be kissed by a guy, so yeah, it's definitely going to be upsetting in any case. But why is it not being acted upon? And it's happened there at a World Cup, and you could say the biggest stage. If it was men's football, it would have been the biggest stage. Why is it not being tackled in the best way possible? That's one thing that doesn't get me. But yeah, I fully agree. Things have to be set right, and it shouldn't be something that should be you could say dragged on, because yeah, like you said, Shane, it's clear everyone has seen it. Something wrong, fix it. Yeah, not let's have a lot of drama about it and essentially not getting anything done. But that's, I guess, very upsetting. But yeah, I think this is one topic that I guess I haven't really seen addressed in many of the other Milan streams. Maybe it's not so popular, but yeah, we want to address it here, and this is one of the reasons why I like to believe that we're different from every other podcast.
Oh, and one thing you've mentioned, Hasni, congratulations to Aslani for finishing third in the World Cup with their Swedish team. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we have our players there as well, and we cheer them. I don't know about you guys, but just for everyone who isn't aware, if you subscribe to the Milan channel, you can actually see the female team and their highlights from their games. It's quite interesting. There's actually a point last season where I said that for some positions we should consider players from the ladies team because they seem to be playing better than Salmakers and Messias.
Here we go.
So yeah, on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for really tuning in to this point. And yeah, just to explain a bit about the title, 392 just means it was us at the beginning before we started the pod. 3 games played, 9 points, and 2 goals conceded. So I think this is a good record to be proud of. Hopefully, we're not conceding 2 goals for every 3 games. We should be at 0. And we started off strong. Let's finish strong. And as always, Forza Milan and forever the red and black. So, is there anything else that you guys want to add on, or things that we want to cover? Or we're good until next time.
I think I want to say just one thing. I think the transfer window's been good, solid. I think we have a weakness. Personally, I think we have a weakness at striker position, and obviously we haven't filled out a CDM. But all things considered, the style of football we're playing, I'm very, very happy with. So let's keep this going. Let's support the team. Finally, now the transfer window's finished, so we're not going to get any last-minute horror shows. I know Saudi Arabia's transfer window is still open. The reason I know that is because Liverpool are openly talking about potentially accepting a bid for 200 million for Salah, but they won't be able to spend the money. That's the biggest thing for them. But yeah, no, happy with the team. Good squad. We got rid of a lot of the dead wood, and I think that's a huge plus, guys. Really, I think last time we spoke, we were scared about Origi staying. We had quite a long conversation about Origi staying and Salad Maker, Messias. We've got a lot of the dead wood. And I think I agree with you, Shane. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, actually, for me, has been the biggest surprise so far. Not even Reindeers. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and he's bombarding forward. I'm looking forward to more of that.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, Anyone else tuning in, please catch us on X/Twitter, as I put there. You can reach us on Instagram and on any other socials, part of the channel. Till next time, guys. Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
Italia!